Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Well, good morning. I will say good morning to my fellow commissioners. Good morning, Commissioner Scar.
Good morning.
And good morning, Commissioner Olson.
Good morning, Commissioner Bell.
Let's jump right in with Adventist Health Tillamook and President Eric Swanson.
Commissioner, I think he's out of town until Thursday, I heard, so he probably won't be with us this morning.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Well, in that case, I will give a little update for Eric that a couple of us commissioners were at the groundbreaking for their new surgical suite at the hospital and last week on Thursday, and it was very inspiring. The ground under the hospital, and in particular under the surgical suite, had been sinking for a number of years. The floor had become uneven, and the repair would be very difficult. And so it's been a long, long time that the hospital had hoped and planned to improve the surgical suite, and certainly had been trying to figure out how to pay for it. So they got a federal appropriation, and Adventist Health decided to make a significant capital investment in Tillamook. And so we're very fortunate. I believe we are extremely fortunate to have Adventist Health Tillamook working for us here in Tillamook County, and the surgical suite is just going to be wonderful. We had a groundbreaking ceremony, and some people gave some words, and there were a lot of staff there who were excited about it, and so I thought it was great. So I'd like to invite Commissioner Scar to say something about that if she wants to, because she was there also.
Thank you. No, it was a wonderful event, and it's exciting. As you said, it was been a long time in the making, and the opportunity for us to expand that surgical suite will really make a difference. I recall Dr. Welch saying there will no longer be the competition over who's going to get the big room, because we'll have two absolutely adequate rooms there. So I think that tells the story right there for our workers, and then obviously that would mean not only for those performing surgeries, but those who are receiving them. So great event, and we look forward to that expansion. Thank you.
Thank you. And we can move right into the Coastal Caucus. Senator Weber was there also. So Senator Weber, are you with us?
I am. I hope I'm unmuted.
Good morning. We can hear you.
Thank you. Yes, I was there. And yes, it was a wonderful event. And it's funny, but that is, I've been to 4 groundbreakings this summer with pertaining to medical related issues on the coast. It's very exciting. First of all, there was the TBCC, and we're going to be able to educate a new workforce with our nurses. That is really exciting. And then there was the health center that's had the groundbreaking in Nehalem, and you can drive through, not Nehalem, Wheeler, and you can see the progress on that. Yesterday, I was so encouraged by what they are doing and what is happening up there. It isn't going to be long before Wheeler is going to have that kind of a facility also. Then there was right here in Tillamook with the new surgical center. How amazing that's going to be. And then yesterday, I was in Astoria because Columbia Memorial Hospital had the groundbreaking for their expansion project and their new hospital. And it was a wonderful occasion. It was one of those where it was 1 minute the sun was shining and the next minute it was pouring. but they had a wonderful turnout and they are set to go. And so we're going to be looking for not only additional facilities to ensure our medical security up and down the coast, but we're also going to be having ribbon cuttings with many of them during the next year related to healthcare issues. And that is so encouraging. Yesterday, the other encouraging thing was that Rep. Javity, myself, and Representative Bonamici and former Senator Betsy Johnson all stood in a circle and talked about FEMA and what it was that we were going to be able to accomplish to address the issues, especially along the coast and in our district. And it was a really good conversation also. FEMA is a conversation all up and down the coast, especially how it's going to impact our area. There was an article in the Headlight Herald about it, and if you haven't had an opportunity to get up to speed on what is happening, I think that you should look into it, find out. Our community development person, Sarah Absher, is right on top of it. She has been the person who has been educating us all along, and she's done a wonderful job. She was also, like I told you last week, involved in the meeting with COPAC and Northwest Act to go over, what the implications are for FEMA and what kind of decisions need to be made. So going on, this, I'm sure you've all gotten your ballots by now. And what I have to say is vote, vote, vote. And one thing I'm hearing, and I'm hearing this a lot, is should we mail it in or should we take it to a drop box? Well, I'll tell you, I didn't get my voter's pamphlet until last Friday. A lot of people in my neighborhood did not get their voter's pamphlet, and I was really concerned because I thought, okay, if I don't get my voter's pamphlet, is my ballot going to come? Because we have a lot of issues with the Postal Service. They have a lot of challenges right now that they're working through. And so I would urge you, because we have so many drop boxes available to us in this county, to search out a drop box. You're making life easier for the post office, and you're also going to make sure, because I have seen people out collecting those ballots from those drop boxes, that your voice is going to be heard. So I encourage you. There are lots of places where drop boxes are, and take advantage of it. So then the other issue, when we were talking about timeliness, we've had a lot of constituent interaction with people all up and down the coast regarding our employment, unemployment, retraining, family leave. Because I have seen people out collecting those ballots from those drop boxes, director of the employment, your voice is going to be heard. Agency to make sure that they understood what kind of challenges people are coming up against. And he assured me that they are working very hard on getting benefits out, and hopefully, we've had a lot of people report to us that they've been on hold for as much as 4 hours, and on a day-to-day basis. One lady told us, I don't know how many hours she was on for a week. And I thought, oh my gosh, and there's no resolution to this. But I was assured, I gave them the names of the people that were having the difficulties, and they assured me that those things would be taken care of, and that they are working very hard to especially improve their customer service. So, they have a lot of problems with having staff, training staff, having the time to be able to process all of the paperwork that they have to deal with. So there are a lot of challenges, and just like everything else, we have to give them a little grace. and know that they are working extremely hard on it. I also had a meeting with a gentleman from State Parks last week, because State Parks are, they're working on sustainability. They're working on issues like maintenance and, once again, having enough staff. And they're working on making sure that our state parks are available to people. And so they're working on some new funding issues. And we've been talking a lot about them. Nothing concrete has come forward yet. But it will be, and we'll be hearing from them soon. I also got to attend the FFA alumni banquet on Saturday night, and there were so many activities in Tillamook County this last weekend that you almost had to, pick a little piece of paper out of a hat in order to decide which one you were going to go to. But they had excellent food, and they had a good turnout, and a lucrative silent auction and regular auction. And so it's another way that we can once again make sure that our FFA kids have the scholarships that are available to them and the support going forward, because they are a big part of our community, especially in high school, in education, and going forward in the workforce. And also this week I've been working with the Hunger Task Force. We have 3 meetings this week, and all of those things take time, and we are working with what the governor wants to see accomplished. And she supports especially the school lunch program. And so we're going forward with a lot of those things. So there will be more reports from the Oregon Hunger Task Force in the future. So I think that concludes what I have to say today. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Senator. I wanted to thank you for having lunch with me last week. I had a lovely lunch with the senator, which I just really enjoy getting together with you and talking about all kinds of things, and in particular the things where that we can work on together. So thank you for that.
Yes, I appreciate that also, and I'm sorry I didn't mention that, because we covered a lot of topics, and
we did.
It's good to have that, that one-on-one conversation where you're not looking at, a 2x2 little picture on a screen, or just meeting in passing. And so it was good. And, it's always good to support our local businesses also.
Oh, yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, thank you. And also thanks for talking with, I think you said, Representative Javidi, former Senator Johnson, and Congresswoman Bonamici about the FEMA BIOP implementation. I'm thrilled that you all got together to talk about that, because it's looming and everyone is very concerned about it. And you're right, Sarah Absher's doing a fabulous job leading that project, but we're, it's daunting and anxiety provoking, and we need everybody to be working on it. So thank you. I'm so grateful that you are.
Yes, and Representative Bonamici doesn't go back to Washington, I think, until like the 12th of November, but she's doing what she can from here currently.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks so much. Do we have any questions for Senator Weber? If not, let's check in with Representative Javidi. Are you with us this morning?
Hey, I'm here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here. Good to hear Senator Weber. I did get to see her yesterday at the groundbreaking, along with, like she mentioned, several others. It's a beautiful project they have up there. I don't have a lot to add this morning. I think Senator Weber covered it pretty thoroughly. I've been following her around the last couple of weeks. I wasn't able, I didn't make it to the surgery center groundbreaking here in Tillamook. I don't think I even had it on my calendar as a thing, so I apologize for missing that. And but glad that it went well. And my top concerns right now that I'm spending time on are the FEMA buyout, as well as transient lodging tax and the getting ready for the upcoming election. So things are going pretty well. I feel like we've got a lot of good projects throughout the district, from the north to the south, that are moving ahead. The Columbia Memorial Hospital required a $20 million investment between the state and the federal government, and so it's good to see that the tax dollars that we're sending out of the district do end up working their way back sometimes to help us with our infrastructure needs, and we'll look for more opportunities to do that. But that's all I have to add this morning. In addition to what Senator Weber said, I think I'll leave it at that unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Representative. I am grateful to you also for working on the FEMA issue, and we're in dire need of help on that issue. So thank you for that. And also, I appreciate that you mentioned working on TLT tax. So could you talk about that just a little bit more?
Transient lodging tax. That's the tax that people pay when they come to visit the coast and they stay overnight. And then that money gets collected, and 70% of it goes to promoting more tourism. 30% of that goes to paying for local projects that, like roads and general fund, law enforcement, etc. But it's been inadequate, and the solution has been up to this point for counties and cities to raise the tax higher and higher and higher, hoping to get more out of the 30% that they get to keep, so that they can pay for failing infrastructure, law enforcement needs, etc. And my concern is at some point we're going to raise the taxes so high that we'll start to see it have a negative impact on our tourism, which is a huge part of our local economy. And so, working with the different leaders throughout the district, including our Tillamook County Commissioners and the Clatsop County Commissioners, we've introduced legislation that will reclassify counties that have lots of tourists already as recreational districts, and there would be about 4 of these right at this point, and Tillamook and Clatsop County would be included, as well as Curry County and one other county. And in these recreational districts, the first 5% of that tax that we collect from people who come to visit our community would stay the same, 70% to promote tourism, 30% to go to infrastructure projects. But after that 5%, so in Tillamook County, if we have a 10% transient lodging tax, for example, the next 5% of that tax would be flipped upside down. So that 70% would go to general fund infrastructure projects, and 30% would continue to fund, tourism and promote tourism type of projects. So we're working with different stakeholders throughout the state, especially the ones who would be, directly impacted, like Oregon Restaurant Lodging Association and hoteliers, et cetera, to make sure we iron out the wrinkles so that we can have a good shot of getting this bill through the legislature. I've also introduced a bill that would, even if this one can't make it through for whatever reason, that we actually create a task force to study the problem and come up with some other unique solutions. So my hope is that by the end of the session, we'll either have a new bill that will directly benefit communities that have a top-heavy burden of tourists, or we'll have a task force that's going to help us create a solution that will work. The current transit lodging tax is now a 25-year-old. Since 2001, the ratio of 70-30, it's 23, 24 years old now, and it's kind of outdated, and it's about outgrown it, and we need to make some tweaks to it. And so that's kind of the spirit of what we're trying to do with the transit lodging tax.
Thank you very much. Thanks for.
Sorry about it. And hopefully, the idea is that counties don't need to raise their taxes any higher, maybe even lower them depending on, how impactful that 70-30 split becomes. And maybe that'll drive more tourism to the area, which would, of course, benefit our local businesses. Overnight visitors, when they stay, spend 3 to 4 times as much as they do when they're day tripping through. So it could be a definite economic boon for the tour, for our communities if we can, get more people to come to the coast to stay.
Thank you very much for talking about that, and thanks for working on it. We agree completely that the 70-30 split is less than ideal, and certainly that tourism has a dramatic impact on a number of small counties, and it doesn't have an equal impact across the state. So you're absolutely right about that. We are, in fact, Tillamook County is, in fact, considering raising TLT tax, or rather asking the voters if they're willing to raise it. So it's clear to me that you and I ought to have lunch so we can catch up on that topic, because we are considering it, and but we think in a responsible way that's certainly not going to hurt the industry. So let's get lunch on our calendars.
All right, absolutely.
Okay,
let's get together and talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, thank you so much. Thanks for all the work you're doing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any questions? You're welcome. Questions for Representative Javidi? Okay. Well, if not, let's move on to Tillamook County Community Health Centers.
And good morning there, Commissioner. It's Ed with the Health Department.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning. Good morning, Tillamook County. October. We're almost done with it, but we want to remind everyone, October is National Health Literacy Month. In August of 2020, the U.S. government released a new definition of health literacy as part of the Healthy People 2030 initiatives. The new definition emphasizes people's ability to use health information rather than just understand it, and focus on the ability to make well-informed decisions rather than appropriate ones. And also acknowledges that organizations have a responsibility to address health literacy and incorporate a public health perspective. Using health literacy practices builds trust and helps to advance health equity. The Tillamook County Wellness, a program of Tillamook County Community Health Centers, is hosting a health fair on November 3rd from 3 to 7 to promote health literacy, cancer prevention, and wellness resources. More information will come in a moment on this event. Our community walk-in vaccine clinic started yesterday, October 21st, at the Tillamook Fairgrounds, and are going to run until November 7th in various areas of the county. Today, the clinic will run from 11 to 6 p.m. at the fairgrounds. So you can find more information and additional dates on our website or Facebook page. The vaccine clinics will have the flu shot and the updated mRNA COVID-19 booster both available for those who are 6 months old and older. The pneumonia vaccine is also available for those 65 years old and older. Along with our vaccine clinics, at our November 5th clinic from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Tillamook Fairgrounds, Tillamook County Wellness will be hosting a health literacy fair complete with a free meal, cancer resources, vaccine services, and more. Our November 6th clinic, also at the fairgrounds from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., will host our Spanish Focus Clinic, complete with a free meal, Spanish Focus cancer resources, interpretation, vaccination services, and more. So mark your calendars and come protect your health in November. And that's our health department update.
Thank you very much, Ed. So will you say the times of the vaccine clinics again, just in case people miss them, and also where they can find the information?
Yes, absolutely. So our vaccine clinics are going to run from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., and that's what's going to be the times for today. And then on November 5th, there is going to be a vaccine clinic at the fairgrounds from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then on November 6th, will 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And all this information will also be listed on our website and Facebook.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So folks have been asking me about the vaccine clinic and wanting to know, can they come in and get all their vaccines, get their flu shot and COVID and all that at the same time?
Correct, yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ed. All right, do we have any other questions for Ed? If not, let's move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. And Gail Nelson, good morning.
Commissioner Bell,
Do we have
Gail
Gail with us?
emailed that she would not be available today.
Oh, thank you. I didn't get that. Thanks. How about the Tillamook Family Counseling Center?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning,
Getting
Frank.
unmuted here. Hi, this is Frank Hannon Williams, Director of Tillamook Family Counseling Center and Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. I really don't have a big update today. Folks can call 503-842-8201 if you concerned about or need information about any of our programming and interested in finding out about appointments. Again, 503-842-8201. And I'll take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Frank? If not, we can move on to emergency management. Do we have Randy Thorpe with us?
You bet, Commissioner. I'm here today.
Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, just a little update. The Great American Shakeout and our tsunami evacuation drill that was held here in the county last Thursday was a great success, I believe. We had over 450 people participate in the drill, both with the shakeout and then also with the tsunami evacuation. And on Thursday of this week, our TC4 preparedness group is going to be having an after-action review of the event. And there they will go ahead and discuss all those successes that we had here in the county, but they'll also start to identify some of the areas where some improvement is necessary so we can even have a better drill next year. I think it's going to become an annual event here with testing our tsunami evacuation prowess. So anyway, and with that too, many of our assembly areas actually had, I'll call them data collection personnel there that greeted the participants, collected some information on, did they bring their go bag and how did they hear about it and a bunch of other information that we wanted to collect.
I can't hear anything.
And also, with that, we tested the communications aspect of what happens during a disaster here in the county. And with that, there's a lot of people out there with the GMRS radios. Those are those little handheld radios, that two-way radios that a lot of people get to communicate during disasters. They gathered some information at the assembly sites. They then relayed that information to our ham radio operators, and we had what they call net control in different areas that gathered that information. And then with that information, they relayed that to the County Emergency Operations Center here in Tillamook. And I was there with 3 people from our IT department that were both observing and also being our ham operators. So that went really well. The communications went really well. It was great to see that we will have communications during disasters, thanks to our ham operators that we have here in the county. Next week, the state is having their statewide Cascadia drill known as the Iron Ore 24. And I and a few people here in Tillamook County will be participating in a couple of different days. One day, we're going to participate in a communication and operability drill with the Sletz tribe down in Lincoln County and also Clatsop County Emergency Management. So we're going to test communications between us, and also we're going to see what locations have the best access in getting messages through ham radio over into Salem, where the state offices are, and a lot of with the Oregon Department of Emergency Management will be manning their emergency operations center. So we'll go try to communicate with them from our different locations here. And we'll also have our emergency operations center open in Manzanita, of course, equipped with a ham operator there to help with that. Another day, I'm going to be working with personnel from the Oregon Department of Human Services and the Office of Resilience and Emergency Management. And what we're going to do is it's going to be kind of a sit-down discussion exercise. And we're going to talk about how we can exchange information concerning different populations within the county and how we can provide resources during the disaster. And so that's just another way for us to get together and talk and maybe iron out a few things and also see where we have some deficiencies in our communication on helping those individuals within our county. And lastly, right after the shakeout, when people got done with that, we had our annual winter preparedness meeting. And that's hosted by Tilda with the Flood Improvement District. And it was actually videotaped by Jane Scott. So people who weren't able to attend that meeting on Thursday will be able to go onto Jane's website and watch a recording of that meeting. It was well attended. It was great. We had a presentation from the National Weather Service. Rebecca came from there. She's one of the meteorologists. She went over a bunch of different scenarios of possible winter weather, and of course, typical, weather predictions. It's percentage for this, percentage for that. Will it not? And so a lot of it was just giving us some indication on what we could expect through the winter. She also went over a lot of different tools that are available to everyone on their website. And she went over a lot of that, and a lot of people had a lot of questions on how to access and get different information. And so it was a very informative meeting there. And lastly, just a reminder that those great king tides will befall us. The first one is going to be the November 15th through the 17th. And then again in December on 13th through 15th, and then in January 11th to the 13th of next year. Just remember the king tides are just the extremely high tides that are caused by that full moon, and they occur, 2 or 3 times a year. This year there are going to be 3 that will occur here, and so again, that's just the time that they're great to watch, but also they can be very unpredictable. So if you decide to go to the coast and well, we are on the coast. If you decide to walk down to the beach, just make sure you're in a safe area to do any observing of king tides. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Randy. Congratulations on a successful countywide tsunami evacuation drill. I think that's, and congratulations to the community. It's the community preparedness groups that led that and encouraged their neighbors to participate, and the outstanding work of the TC4 group throughout the year. So I'm very encouraged that Tillamook County continues to focus on preparedness and tsunami evacuations. I was driving by a place I used to live right on the shore of the Nehalem River, which I loved, but it was definitely in the tsunami zone. And I was looking at what would the route have been, and the way to get up the hill from that place is completely covered with thickets of blackberries. And so impenetrable, like there's no way a person could get through those blackberries. And so I'm just thinking about everybody who's in a tsunami evacuation zone in Tillamook County, and do they know where their evacuation routes are? Do they know where to go? Do they know, is the route even passable? So the more we practice and keep it top of mind for people, the better prepared people will be. So I'm grateful for your work and your leadership in that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And yes, it was great to actually, we recorded 2 commissioners that participated and evacuated to the assembly area there across from the library. So, and that was kind of an important thing to know there too, is that we sometimes work and play in different areas than where we live. And so, having that knowledge of evacuation routes in those areas that you frequent is also very important, because if the commissioners didn't know what to do, they would have been lost and caught in that tsunami down at the hospital. So again, that was just great that we looked at, a lot of the different areas that we work and play in and know what to do, because, we don't want to be unprepared and be nervous and confused of what to do during an emergency. So again, the preparation is great, and I will echo Commissioner Bell. Our TC4 group is doing an exceptional job in getting this county more and more prepared.
Thank you. Yeah, and yes, to your point, we were at the groundbreaking event at the hospital during the Great American Shakeout. So employees at the hospital observed the shakeout, and some of us evacuated to the evacuation site, is that parking lot across from the library. So it was good to be an active participant in that, and to do it with other folks, to do it with our neighbors, and talk about what it would mean. Because you're totally right that it could happen anytime, not just when we're home, it could happen anytime, and we could be in any number of places. And it's a good idea as we're out and about to be thinking, especially if you're going to be someplace for overnight, for example, to be thinking, okay, well, from here, what's my evacuation route? It's good to have it top of mind. Well, thanks again, Randy, and thanks for putting together the winter preparedness meeting. Thanks to Tillamook Bay Flood Improvement District, as you said, and Tilda Chadwick Jones for hosting that meeting. I thought it was good to get everybody together and be able to talk about the winter ahead. So with that, we will move on to the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Scar, would you like to start?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Appreciated the winter preparedness meeting. I always enjoy getting the overview of the NOAA website. Their weather website really is fantastic. I encourage people to check it out and just spend some time poking around to see what is available. And one of the key things is they always have the newest alerts up there. You can always get the information, so you can take that into your own hands. While our emergency management is fantastic at getting it out, we encourage you to sign up for Nixle to make sure that you're getting them through our emergency management. It's also helpful to just take a look at what's coming when it's a warning or when it's a watch before it becomes a warning, and you want to just see what things are ahead. That NOAA weather website is really fantastic, so definitely check that out. Okay, a couple other things going on. I just want to give everybody a heads up. We've talked about the deflection programs that are being stood up across the state in response to the amendments to what was Measure 110 that became House Bill 4002 last year. And Tillamook County will start their deflection planning officially and formally this Friday. We are going to be supported with consultants through, I believe it's OHSU, that are able to come out to our community and help us work through what the best deflection would look like in Tillamook County. And for those who aren't familiar with the term, deflection is really looking at how do we work with individuals with substance use disorder that may decide they're ready for treatment, or they may come in contact with law enforcement due to having possession. And as we know, Measure 110 was rolled back, and that now has a criminal aspect to it that is available now. And the deflection program is to really deflect people from the criminal justice system into a treatment option. So we're looking at, for Tillamook County, working with the sheriff, with city law enforcement, with the DA's office, with local providers and other social service agencies. What will that look like in Tillamook County? What systems do we need to add to be able to do that work? So Friday is our first meeting for that, and I'm excited to see what we build here in Tillamook County. Cities and counties all across Oregon are in this same process, and there are every kind of system being built, from very complex systems that include immediate transport to treatment to systems that are very sort of diverse across a broad landscape, probably like ours will be, where we don't have a treatment facility to immediately take people to, but we want to make sure the referrals happen and the support is in place. So lots to think about and lots to work on, but excited that that is happening. And I believe that our planning has to be complete and our program ready to go by early next year. So we're working rapidly as soon as we jump in on Friday. Couple other things exciting in the community. The former Nehalem Bay House up in Bayside Gardens has been sitting vacant since it was closed as a senior assisted living in February, I believe, of 22, if I'm not mistaken. And that has been purchased by, or is about to be purchased by, a local developer through funding through Oregon Housing and Community Services, and it will be remodeled into senior apartments. So we're all very excited about that. It's been painful to watch the building sit empty when we know we have people with huge housing needs in our community, and it just took a while to find the right funding source and the right partnership to make that happen. So very excited for Darren Murphy, who's our developer on that. He also owns and operates the Bayside Commons apartments that were recently opened in that same area. So more housing on the way. It's very exciting. I was at the Tillamook City Council last night, and Nathan's probably on here and probably will share this as well, or may have been in his report. The city of Tillamook owns the building in which the Tillamook Early Learning Center operates, along with the Tillamook Head Start. And that building was built more than 30 years ago with federal funding and intended to be an early learning center forever, in perpetuity. And there was a plan after it was built that within a 10-year time frame, it would be deeded to these two nonprofits. For a variety of reasons, that deeding never happened. And so it's just been leased by these nonprofits for a very low rate for 30 years. And last night, the city council unanimously voted to deed the building to the nonprofits as was originally intended in that lease, the first lease they had after it was built. So it was just a really great moment, I guess, of our community showing their support for early childhood programming and doing the right thing. So I just want to give a big shout out to the Tillamook City Council. The city obviously had many other things they could have done with that building. They owned it free and clear after the 30 years of that funding timeline had passed, and they chose to do the right thing and keep childcare housed in our community. So just wanted to give them a shout out and a big thank you for that. With that, I will turn it back over to you, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, Commissioner. And how about Commissioner Olson?
Well, good morning again, Commissioner. Yes, I do have a few things to talk about this morning. First of all, you made mention of the groundbreaking at the Adventist Hospital, and I was invited to that, and I was hoping to go because I was on that board for a long time. But as it turned out, I was on my way to Redmond in Central Oregon to the Oregon State Fair Association meeting, and I'll just mention what goes on there. There were about 240 people that gathered in the Redmond Convention Center, which is really a very nice facility. And they talked about issues related to county fairs. And virtually every county in Oregon has a fair. They all have a board. I think most of them are connected in some way to the county commission of the particular counties. And so they had a variety of issues and a number of vendors there talking about what they provide for the fairs. There were good discussions on insurance and cooperative purchasing. There was even a little talent show where people who wanted to be hired as entertainers came in and did a 5-minute song or juggling act or whatever they did. And it was really quite interesting. I would say that Tillamook Fair is among, I think it's personally the best fair around, but it certainly received a number of awards, and we'll try and get Cammie and maybe one or two board members to come to a commission meeting in the next few weeks and be singled out for those awards because they're good. They said what it is that we're doing here in Tillamook and some of the successes we've achieved, and so I thought it was a worthwhile couple of days. It went through most of Saturday, and a lot of decisions were made. And it's one of those things where you discover quickly that your issues are pretty much the same as issues elsewhere. And so no reason to reinvent the wheel. You talk about common issues and what the solutions are or have been or what they're working on. So that's all good. One of the things that they will be pressing through the next legislative session, for quite a number of years, there was legislation that provided 1% of net lottery proceeds would go to fairs. And that's quite a bit. That's well in excess of $10 million. The lottery generates somewhere around 1.3 billion, or maybe more than that now. But anyway, the legislature cut that back a little bit here in recent sessions, and the fairs are trying to get that restored. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But nonetheless, that was certainly on the agenda along with a lot of other things. So it was a good session. And again, if you've never attended the Tillamook County Fair, you need to drop whatever you're doing and do it. It's usually the second week in August every year. So I'll move on to another subject. As everyone should know by now, the ballots went out last week. And here in Tillamook County, there are about 21,500 registered voters. And no issues so far. And according to the county clerk's office, several hundred ballots have come in already, and it's probably well over 1,000 now. We're pretty much tracking to what the way it works. There's typically a pretty good share come in the first 3 or 4 days, and then it kind of slows down, and it's like 2 or 3% come in every day, and then towards the end, like the weekend before the Tuesday of the closing, they get another roughly a third of all they're going to get. So some people procrastinate, others do it the first day or two they get it, and then the rest kind of do it over the 2.5 week period. But anyway, things look good so far statewide, and they tell us that there are no issues with the Postal Service so far, and everything is running smoothly. So that's the way it's supposed to do. So the last thing I want to talk about is our radio measure to replace our public safety radio system across the county. That's measure 29-180. And a lot of information now has gone out either through the mail, and I think our group has done pretty close to 20 meetings. I was at the Nestucca Valley School District Board last evening, and another person, Linda Kozowski from Manzanita area, I believe, was at the City Council of Garibaldi. And so we've been meeting with elected leaders and other groups across the county, including Kiwanis, Rotary, and those types, to get the word out and tell the people who are, I guess what you'd call influential people, and often others look to them for advice or counsel. And so we've been talking one-on-one with them and to their groups as well, along with a lot of other information. So over the last couple of weeks, there seems to be 3 questions that have come up again and again, and I'll speak to each one just briefly here and maybe bring a little clarity to it. The first question that seems to come is why is the county doing this now, and why don't we look at satellite like Starlink and some other companies that offer some advanced technology? Well, the reason we're doing it now is simply because the system we've had now is 25 years old or more, and in many respects it's failing. If you need parts for a radio, and I'm talking about the 2-way radios that are used by police, fire, medical, public works, Tillamook PUD, and others that are first responders, basically. Those are the people who go to automobile accidents, they go to fires, they go to medical emergencies, they show up wherever they're called, and they're dispatched typically by 911. And so that's the system we have, which is not unlike emergency management systems or first responders and public safety across America. But the reason we're doing this is the system is old, replacement parts are not available, and basically the technology is old. It's analog as compared with digital. So one of the first questions is Starlink and satellites, and the answer to that is the technology works, and it works fairly well if you're watching TV or otherwise wanting to use a cell phone service. It does not work too well when you have public safety needs where you go point to point. And the reason is it's a satellite system and owned by a subsidiary company that's owned in 100% by Elon Musk, privately owned. And you need to have essentially a clear line of sight to the satellites. And of course, in Tillamook County, we don't always have that. We've got a lot of trees and vegetation. We have some heavy clouds from time to time. And so it's not anywhere near being reliable enough for public safety needs. The second question now that's come up a number of times is cell phones. Why doesn't the county use cell phone technology? Well, it's almost the same answer as Starlink. It is not proven yet for public safety needs. The way cell phones work is they work on a much higher frequency band than VHF and UHF, very high frequency and ultra high frequency that's used by public safety radios. And a cell phone typically, and most people have one, you tap in the number that you want to call, and then it transmits to a tower. The tower then repeats that number and puts it into the telephone system, which sometimes is microwave, sometimes it's fiber, sometimes it's old copper wire, and then goes to another tower elsewhere, like it could be across the country. And then it rebroadcasts the signal, and whoever has that number then gets a ring, and you can have a conversation. It works very, very well for telephone. It does not work very well for public safety needs. First of all, it's not push to talk, it's a dial-up. Now, they may change that, but that hasn't happened yet. And so the technology is simply not there, nor is the reliability, which is not to say it won't be there in 10 years or 15 years. But it's not widely used across America or even across the world. And I don't think it would be good public policy for Tillamook County to try something that is not proven. That would be a foolish use of public funds. So the last question that comes up quite a bit is the cost. Why does it cost so much? And the cost is estimated at $26.4 million. And that is a lot of money. The county has received a grant for about $2 million, so the cost that we're asking the voters to approve is $24.4 million. And if you spread that out across the tax base in Tillamook County and over a period of time of about 16 years, it works out to about 33 cents for the average homeowner. And of course, some are more than average and some are less. So that's roughly $95 a year that would be added to your property taxes. And that is a lot of money. That's almost $100. So people are saying, well, why does it cost so much for just a bunch of radios? Well, it's more than just a bunch of radios. For example, it would include actually over 1,100 radios, and those are handheld. Those are the ones in the vehicles. Those are some base stations, and it's a fair amount of equipment at the 911 center. And it also includes a new tower and upgrades to a lot of other towers. The Tillamook County has 12 towers, and we would be adding a 13th. It also enhances security measures. There was a design component from the successful vendor to put it all together. Then there's a project management component that will be probably close to a year and a half or 2 years to oversee the installation and activation of the whole system. And then there'll be some upgrades to the microwave backhaul system. There's also a few other things that come along with that, and the radios would be state-of-the-art. For example, the radios that the county uses now, and when I say county, I mean the fire departments, the sheriff's office, all the police departments, Tillamook PUD, are for the most part analog. And if you don't understand the difference between analog and digital, it's roughly like, see if I can, maybe well, I can't think of I'll think of something that's a good comparison here maybe, but it's taking technology to another level, and it's proven technology. For example, the new radios would be able to do data transmission. They would also be able to record. They would also have a GPS system, which is very helpful since a lot of our incidents are out in the woods and so on. Another thing to remember about the cost of this is it would be paid by all the property owners in Tillamook County. But the fact is 40% of the property, almost 40%, are owned by people who live elsewhere. And of course, those people put a fairly heavy burden on our public safety services, particularly on weekends when our population can double or triple, and in the summertime, even more than that. And they require certain services, so there is an element of equity by asking everyone to pay who owns property, even if you don't live here full time. And so I guess I could talk more about this, but essentially it's replacing something that is failing. It's replacing something that is absolutely critical. I think most local governments would say the absolute highest priority is public safety. And in order to have a public safety system that works, you need to be able to talk to each other. And there are lots of anecdotes and stories, or really not anecdotes, but and I won't go into detail on that, but I will mention one thing that does happen with some frequency. And this is when a patient who is being transported by ambulance goes to our local hospital run by Adventist Health System, and the condition worsens or the individual needs some advanced care not available here. So about once a day on the average, there's an ambulance going over Highway 6 into the Portland area to get a higher level of medical care. When they get up in the woods, there is no cell service, and there is also no radio service. So when a patient's condition takes a turn for the worse, the paramedics have no way to contact a doctor and ask what would be the next step to do. And that really should not happen in a space that's maybe only 40 miles from 2 million people, population center of Oregon. So this system would go a long ways to solving that issue, along with advanced cell service, which is also coming on Highway 6. So, Commissioner, thank you for the time. I will stop talking and simply say this measure is before the voters. It's an important one. There's lots of reasons why it makes sense. And yes, it does cost money, but most things worth having cost money. So I'll just conclude with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Hey, could you please tell us the website people can go to learn more about that? And do we have a Facebook page for it?
You can go directly to the county's website, and I think there's a big banner on that. Just click on that, and that will take you to the county's information page, and there are several pages to it. You can also just go to one of the search engines and type in Tillamook County Public Safety Radio, and another website would come up that's both in English and Spanish, and it would give you some additional information. So there's lots of good information, some technical, most of it just common sense, or telling you what's needed and why and where it's failing. And so, yes, there's plenty of information out there, just a few clicks away.
Thank you very much. I wanted to talk about this also just briefly because I had a meeting with a constituent on Sunday who asked me about it. They'd gotten their voters' information in the mail, including a couple of flyers about the radio bond. And this was a good question. They had one flyer that came from a PAC and another flyer that came from Tillamook County. So their question is, presumably every mailbox in the county has gotten these two flyers. So I'll just answer the question on the radio because maybe more than one person has it. The question is, did one of these flyers come from the county, and how was it paid for? So I'm happy to share the information about this. There is a PAC, a political action committee, that is supporting the radio bond, and one of the flyers that was promoting your yes vote on the radio bond came from the PAC. So that was supported by donations. People who've joined the PAC voluntarily made donations to the work of the PAC. So the flyer that was promoting vote yes, that's from the PAC. The other flyer that was just simply information, that came from the county because the county can provide information without advocating for your vote. So that came from the county, and it was simply information about the radio bond, the radio system that we have currently, and the improved system. What is proposed, why we would be doing it. And so the second flyer was information only. It did come from the county, and it was paid for with ARPA funds. which we just have a little ARPA funds left over from the COVID years. So that's the answer to that question. It was an excellent question. I'm glad to talk about it, and I'm glad to know that people can still get more information on that if they want to.
Commissioner, could I add one note to that? The one produced by the county is reviewed by the Secretary of State's office. There's a new provision when there's an election with information like this. And they passed on that saying, yes, what you have said is accurate, truthful, and is not persuasive, either yes or no. And so there's an element that didn't used to be there some years ago that now when the county or city or any other local government issues some information, it has to be reviewed by the Secretary of State. And then if they say, okay, you're good to go, then we can be assured that it's neutral in their eyes. And they have a full-time attorney over there in Salem who does nothing but review these ballot measures to make sure they're fair and balanced. And so that's the one that came out from the county itself. The other, as you pointed out, is advocating, but it's privately funded and totally separate from the county. So thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to mention that I was at the Garibaldi City Council meeting last night and the Tillamook City Council meeting last night. So their Garibaldi starts at 6:30, and they put me on the top of their agenda. And Tillamook put me a little further into the agenda, so because they start at 7, so I was able to do both. Indeed, as Doug mentioned, Linda Kozlowski was at Garibaldi to talk about the radio bond project. So I met her in passing there, and I was there at the city council meetings to talk about the county is considering raising the TLT tax, that's transient lodging tax, countywide. And if we do, that impacts cities because they have their own transient lodging tax. So I have been visiting city councils to talk to them about what we're considering. We're considering going to the voters, asking to raise the TLT tax in May of 2025. So far, I've gotten excellent response, great reception from the city councils I've visited. I have a couple more to go, but whatever we do, we want to move forward in partnership with the cities as much as possible. And just to talk about that in brief, the TLT tax rate in Tillamook County hasn't increased since it was passed, which I think it was 2014, but it could have been we voted for it in 2013 and it came into being in 2014. And so 10 years. So it hasn't increased in 10 years. And what we found is that largely like Representative Javity said, there are certain communities, tourism heavy communities, where there's an inordinate impact on the services that tourists need when they're here. So there is an uneven impact of tourism across the state. And so in a small county like ours, the sheriff's office is staffed and funded to take care of the people who live here. However, in the summer months, there are probably well over 100,000 people here on summer weekends, maybe more than that. You know, there are a couple million people a year visit the cheese factory. So the inordinate impact on public safety is dramatic. And so we're looking at the possibility of going to the voters, asking if the voters would be willing to increase the transient lodging tax. That is, of course, paid by visitors and not by locals unless you're renting a room in Tillamook County. And so it's a way, it makes sense to us that it's a way to ask visitors to contribute to the services that they receive when they're here. So I'll be talking more about that in the coming months. But I was at Garibaldi City Council talking about it last night, and also at Tillamook City Council talking about the same thing. I also wanted to mention, I know I've talked about this before, but I'm going to repeat myself. The Tides of Change, which was formerly the Tillamook County Women's Resource Center, is having their Soup Bowl event this weekend on Saturday, the 26th, and it'll be held at Pacific Restaurant. I think it's been 5 years since they had the Soup Bowl event because it was canceled during COVID, and it just hasn't gotten back off the ground since then. So So I hope people are excited to come back to it because it was previously, it was very, very popular and in fact sold out regularly. So, I know people's habits change. So I hope people are ready and willing to come back to the Soup Bowl event because it's going to be wonderful. It's a treat to have any event at Pacific because it's just such a great venue. It's so pleasant and well decorated, and it's just lovely. It's the perfect place to have events. So our thanks to Nelia for the phenomenal community service she provides by utilizing her restaurant for fundraising events. Thank you, Nelia and Pacific. And it's just lovely. It's a Soup Bowl event because it features hand-thrown pottery bowls made by North Coast artisans and donated. Artisans have been making beautiful bowls for months for this event, and people who attend buy a ticket. You get all-you-can-eat soups that are donated from local restaurants. And for example, I live in North County, so I asked Buttercup Restaurant to donate. She's going to donate a vegan Thai curry, butternut curry that I'm very excited to try. Her soups are so good. So local restaurants, places we love to eat, are donating soups and bread and desserts. You come, your ticket, you get to take your bowl home with you. So you get to pick out a gorgeous bowl, eat, visit with people, hear about the work that Tides of Change has been doing for the next 5 years, and then take your bowl home with you. And I know people, who went to that event for years and have a collection of those bowls in their kitchen that they really cherish. So it's a lovely event. It's this weekend. Tickets are online, tidesofchangenw.org. They also have a Facebook page. You can get there that way. And they will sell tickets at the door if they're not sold out, but you can get them online in advance just to make sure. And I also wanted to talk about the Dropbox issue. That's interesting. Senator Weber was talking about that, about people asking if they don't trust the U.S. mail, that's kind of a sad statement, but the U.S. Postal Service has had challenges in the last couple of years that they didn't have previously. It seems to me like it used to be that everybody trusted the post office, and maybe there are funding problems at the post office. I'm not sure, but it's sad that folks are worried about using the U.S. mail to get their ballots in. And so I just wanted to affirm what Senator Weber said about Dropbox locations. There are Dropbox locations throughout the county, and there's also a Dropbox right at the courthouse. And I feel good about delivering my ballot in person to the courthouse and using the ballot Dropbox. And so I invite people to do that also, or to use the Dropboxes in your communities because they are safe and secure, and it's a good system. It's a good way to go. So I think I will stop there and move on to the cities, starting with Manzanita.
Good morning. This is Catherine in Manzanita. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning. We can.
Great. A few updates from Manzanita this morning. First of all, I was glad to participate in the drill, the Great Shakeout that was discussed earlier, and I would like to, as always, thank all of our community volunteers with the Emergency Volunteer Corps of Nehalem Bay, who organized so hard and worked so hard all year to help us be prepared. So thank you, and thanks to all the work of the folks in the county to help to make that successful. I want to remind people that this coming Monday on the 28th from 5:30 to 7:30, we'll be hosting a community summit meeting. This is the first of what will be several public meetings that we have over the course of the next few years to begin work and do work on our comprehensive plan. This meeting, which does require registration, and you can do that pretty easily on the city's website, will be focused on housing, probably as the primary topic, but also open space and what that might mean to the community. So we're really looking forward to that and planning for a full house that night at the Pine Grove here locally. So that's the first thing. And then we do have some planning commission positions that have become open, and your ability to apply for that is simply to go online, and you can get the information again at the city's website that's posted. And we are also, this is a big plug for going to the website this morning, we're also in the process of accepting applications for tourism grants. The city has up to $20,000 available, and the maximum amount of those awards are $2,000. That's a program that we've had in place for a while now, and we're looking forward to getting some good grant proposals from people in the community or businesses or not-for-profits who'd like to use that money. So that is now up and running as well. Lastly, I will remind folks that are specifically in the city of Manzanita, the city does have a measure on the ballot. It's measure 29-179, which raises the question of the frequency of water billing here. And I was glad to hear Commissioner Olson describe the process that's used to create a neutral statement about what the bill would mean and what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. For any voters in the Manzanita area who would like more information about that, one simple thing you can do is just go to the homepage of our city's website and you will find a position paper. It's short but good that describes the impact of your vote there. And as Commissioner Olson said, that's all been vetted by the Secretary of State's office, so we should be good to go. And I'm hoping, of course, that everyone will vote. It's such an important thing. So thanks very much. That's it for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Do we have anyone online from Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach?
Good morning. This is Charles from Rockaway Beach. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Mayor.
So I'll make it short and simple this morning in the interest of time. Rockaway Beach Fire and Rescue and Rockaway Beach Business Association present our annual Trunk or Treat event this coming Saturday, October 26th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at our new Anchor Street Parking and Park, located at 2nd and Anchor Street. There'll be music, face painting, pictures with Pete the Pumpkin, and lots of trick-or-treating. So bring the whole family for a fun time. And with that, I'll give it back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's move on to the city of Garibaldi. I know the city of Bay City is not able to join us today. They let us know. So how about the city of Tillamook and Nathan George?
Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, we can.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, I do a few things. I want to start with the council meeting last night. Commissioner Scar covered it very well with the Tillamook Radio Learning Center and Head Start. And the city has granted to provide that property back to both those organizations, just as was originally decided upon in the 1993 agreement. So that's exciting. Also, we had our first reading on the ordinance creating reasonable regulations for the state licensed psilocybin facilities. So if you remember back about 2.5 years ago, the state had legalized having state licensed psilocybin facilities, but it hadn't really been put in place yet. So at that time, the city council voted to have put on the ballot to have an actual 2-year pause, or I guess a 2-year, I can't think of the word, a ban on having those. So those 2 years will be up the end of the year. So the council, the intent of the council at that time was to put together some regulations in place. So this is the first reading doing that. And essentially, to just better describe, the psilocybin facilities, these are medical facilities. These are state licensed medical facilities. They are not retail. They are actually to help treat patients, and they have the same setbacks in our proposed ordinance, such as marijuana and other types of facilities from schools and from other types of businesses that should be set back from. So very stringent guidelines. Once again, have to be state licensed. So and we understand from many regulations and medical opinions that it's very helpful to many people, especially for veterans. I know Councilor Doug Henson was working really hard on getting some facilities to Tillamook to help with our special veterans population. So, and that will go to the second reading, and if the council approves, they'll go in effect here towards the end of the year. Also, the city held a first reading on an ordinance updating our city fee schedule, consolidating all fees into one schedule in the code of ordinance. Actually, I take that back. We didn't hold the first reading, but we had a lot of discussion. The first reading will be held in the next meeting. But essentially, that takes all our fees are scattered throughout our ordinance, our code book, and put them into one spot. So it makes it easy for the public and easy for staff. Also proposing raising a few fees slightly. Also held a public hearing and a first reading on ordinance providing for the partial street vacation of the northern portion of Evergreen Drive between 3rd Street and Highway 6. So if you're familiar with there's actually a right-of-way across from, on 3rd Street, across from the Center Market, that little piece in there that has some homes and also has some storage facilities is actually a public right-of-way. And it doesn't make sense. There's some complications in there that's not being used as an actual right-of-way other than access to the homes. And ODOT has confirmed they will probably never put an overpass in there, and we don't have the money to do it. So the city, to make everything work better, we are proposing to vacate that property, the right-of-way, so that the property owner can continue developing. So also, we talked about the city property located on Birch Avenue. As you're probably aware, that was approved by the city to enter into a partnership with Adventist Health, as they're going to do some modifications on it, and the city council is looking at designating it as a city park, and they also talked a little bit about working on putting together some names for it. So we had normal reports, which were great. A couple of quick things on that. We also had City Hall flagpole cost discussion, and it cost about almost $11,000 to put a flagpole in. So we are going to be reaching out to community. If anybody has any projects or anybody wants to sponsor that or be a part of putting in a City Hall flagpole, an Eagle Scout project, or anything anyone can think of or is interested in, please let me know, let our city know, so that we can facilitate that and work with you. We just are so limited on funding, but we would love to have some type of partnership with someone, and we could do a nice plaque and so forth. Also, we discussed the city had bought what's called a hook box truck, which allows for a multi-use. You can use it's basically like a dump truck, but it has different attachments, a dump truck and towing and different things. City had entered into an agreement under previous leadership that to purchase that. So when we went to purchase it, we had to purchase it, even though we didn't feel it was the best use for the city in it. And we used it for quite a while, for 2,000 miles on it. It's really not been a good use to the city, and we really need the money for other equipment that would be more useful to our needs. So we are selling that for almost the same cost we bought it for. So that was good. And the very last thing on the staff correspondence and discussion I wanted to mention is that I know many people know, but I have made a decision to accept a position as a city manager of the city of Fairview, Oregon, which, if you don't know, is on the other side of Gresham, borders Gresham on the east side of Gresham. So it's a very exciting opportunity. I will truly miss Tillamook. I absolutely love Tillamook. I love my team, and we've accomplished so much, and we are in a good place to keep accomplishing more. So it's been a very, very hard decision. My last day at City of Tillamook will be Tuesday, December 17th. So I will get through all the radio updates for the year. And then I start the end of December, the 30th of December, in the new position. So also on our operations report, I wanted to provide that in the police department, Chief Troxel met with our Tillamook County Emergency Management Coordinator, Ann Moorhead, regarding a Tillamook County Emergency Coordinator, Ann Moorhead, regarding a community emergency response team. This has been a priority to the city of Tillamook, but having the champion of our community who is willing to volunteer for this role has been a challenge. And also, I wanted to thank everyone involved, especially Randy Thorpe, for all the work he's done. And I think he's been here almost as long as me. I think at least 3.5 years, and he's just done a really great job in working on putting our emergency man together, which is something that we really needed. And so I'm really grateful for that. And so is our team. Our city Chief Troxel had a nice meeting with a company who can provide the city of Tillamook with cardiovascular examinations for all the staff. This is really important for our police officers, as public safety historically have more strokes and heart attacks than other occupations. Chief Troxel attended the Mornings on Main, Chambers Morning on Main. This morning coffee is well attended by their businesses, nonprofits, and agencies doing great work. And the Code Enforcement Officer, Kenny Moreland, attended the Oregon Code Enforcement Association conference and training this week. We are proud of Officer Moreland and his eagerness to learn more and continue to develop professionally. So if we have received many compliments on the great work he's doing on code enforcement in our city, also want to extend that to everyone, especially all of our employees are doing a great job, especially our Public Works Department. Dawn Anderson, who is cleaning up the bioswales almost every day. We have lots of great employees. Tyler, who is our Public Works street superintendent. Just everyone's doing a really great job. Appreciate that. Officer Neubauer and Chief Trucks were honored to team up with the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office during the National Domestic Violence Warrant Roundup event this week. This month is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and you may see our officers wearing a purple police on their uniforms. This to show our support and awareness. Chief Trucks also attended the Domestic Violence Intervention Council this week, and this group comes together to ensure response to domestic violence is coordinated and streamlined. So we take it very seriously, domestic violence, that is. Sergeant Harold Hollis organized and presented in-service training for firearms this week. All officers attend this training, and firearms training is extremely important, and we take these opportunities seriously. As we had a busy week, the police department was rounding out the week last week with the Tillamook County homecoming football game and dance, and I just wanted to give a shout out and thanks to our school resource officer, Officer Olson, who's been representing our city very well. The Public Works Department, starting Tuesday morning, contractors will begin paving work. That's today on 3rd Street near the railroad crossing. I think they were actually going to start a little bit yesterday. This project may extend into Wednesday if needed. Please be aware of crews in the area and direct care for those flaggers will be directing traffic. Your patience is appreciated as we work to improve our roads. So, as many of you have known over the years, as you drive across that railroad crossing there near Warner's and Goodspeed Park, it's in pretty bad shape, so we are getting that fixed. Crews are continuing emergency sewer line replacement on Grove Avenue between 9th and 12th Street. Detours are set up to help manage traffic flow, so please follow the posted signs and allow extra time of traveling through the area. Water distribution crews will begin repairs on one of our main transmission lines south of town Wednesday. This work is essential to ensure reliable water service. We'll quickly work to minimize any disruptions. This week, door hanger notices and shutoffs for overdue utility payments are being issued. If you receive one, please visit our website or call the city and make a payment to avoid service interruptions. As we move in the fall, our streets and parks crews are focusing on keeping the streets clear of fallen leaves, which can clog catch basins and lead to flooding. Street sweeping will be more frequent, so please help keep the leaves off the street and put your yard into waste bin. So again, if you are blowing leaves or raking leaves, please don't put them in the street. That causes a significant amount of trouble and extra tax dollars to clean that up. We want to send a huge thank you to all who came to the Halloween movie night. We had a fantastic turnout. It was great to see the community come together for a fun, family-friendly event. And get ready for the holiday season, the 22nd annual Christmas tree lighting on Saturday, December 7th at Tillamook City Hall. Festivals will begin at 3 p.m. And this beloved community tradition is packed with festive fun for all ages, including live entertainment, a Christmas light parade, free food and drinks, photos with Santa, and exciting prizes. And our one lucky tenant will be chosen to light the tree. So please bring your family and friends and neighbors that come celebrate. And you can contact our Public Works Department, which is overseeing that, with any questions or comments or suggestions. Reminder that if you see something, say something by calling 911 for emergencies and dispatch for emergencies. Again, if you see something, especially a crime happening or anything happening that seems unusual, please pick up the phone and call 911 immediately. Please don't try to contend with or stop anything in progress. Please just call 911 and let the professionals do that. They're trained and paid for that. The next regular council meeting will be held on Monday, November 4th at 7 p.m. We encourage everyone interested in your local government to attend virtually or in person. Thank you very much, Commissioner. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Nathan. Thanks for your informative report as ever, and congratulations on your new position. It's a loss to the community, and I'm personally happy for you. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Well, with that, I think I will thank KTIL, as always, for broadcasting. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I hear from people very regularly that they tune into this call. They appreciate it. They remember things they heard here. They learn things they heard on here. And so I'm very grateful to our partnership with KTIL for broadcasting this call. And I'm grateful to everyone who participates and to everyone who listens. So have a great day, Tillamook County. This meeting is adjourned at 9:25. Thank you.